We keep things rolling here on the Sports Cubicle. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. I'm here with the one, the only. I'm here with Paul Chivari. And Paulie, we have some interesting news that has trickled down from a story that we've been covering what it seems like for the last few years at this point. It seems like this Northwestern scandal that ended up costing Pat Fitzgerald his job. That was another of few black eyes that were hitting the university. So this comes down the pipeline from Fox 32 Chicago by Jake Hamilton. Ex-Northwestern linebacker lifts lid on alleged locker room abuse in explosive lawsuits. So Nathan Fox knew almost instantly what he said happened inside the locker rooms at Northwestern University wasn't normal. He was, after all, a product of the Texas high school football world, known to many as Friday Night Lights culture. Quote, there's a common phrase where they say football in Texas is a religion, and that's not far from the truth, Fox said. I grew up since 8 years out, playing sports and football and loving it. Once you get to high school level, where we're from, football is kind of like the thing high schools are proud of. It's what brought people together on Friday nights. A star middle linebacker, Fox made varsity his freshman year, first team All-State, All-American, district MVP, and he had his first college offer by his sophomore year. In fact, Fox was sought after by schools around the country, everyone from Hawaii to Harvard. So I want to skip down. You guys can, again, check out the entire article by Jake Hamilton. Let's really fast talk about why he picked Northwestern, okay? Northwestern fit kind of that happy medium between Big Ten football, still get to be on TV under the big lights, but they offer a very good education and a way of life, Fox said. Northwestern first started recruiting Fox during his junior year of high school, ultimately leading to head coach Patrick Fitzgerald, the linebackers coach Randy Bates, visiting his Texas home. Quote, I went to Northwestern because I really respected Coach Fitz. I say that's one of the main reasons I chose it. I was convinced that not only was it a great school and a great opportunity, Coach Fitz was the type of guy I'd want to play football for. Fox said. He comes in, they promise you all this stuff for it to be so opposite, so complete opposite from what they say they stand for, who they are. It really does leave quite a sour taste. For me, it feels very disrespectful. It feels like we got taken advantage of, Fox said. So do you want to jump in really fast, Paulie, on what the complaints of the lawsuit is?
No, because I think we're leaving out some key aspects here. You know, so Fox, along with I think John Doe, released, and then I think there was another person too, released separate lawsuits in the last couple of weeks. And Fox was the one that's being really open and putting his name on it. But this was after he talked to the woman investigating it, the attorney Maggie Hickey, who Northwestern hired to do this, and she was saying that some of their stories corroborate, and they could, that could kind of help as the evidence. But a big thing kind of left out, though, was Fox did bring this to people's attention when he was there.
Yeah, absolutely. So here are just some of the things Fox is quoted for in this article. The first summer was sort of psychological torment and torture, but once you get to Kenosha, all hell breaks loose, Fox said. That's what they've been waiting for. And for anybody who's been following the story here on the Sports Cubicle, Kenosha has been kind of the ground zero of a lot of these stories of them going away to camp and these alleged things happening. So the complaint for the lawsuit that Fox and another former Northwestern football players have filed against the school and former head coach Fitzgerald details both mental and physical abuse at the hands of the upperclassmen that started before training camp in Kenosha and continued on into the regular season. Quote, we would have a 3-hour sexual assault seminar from Northwestern and go straight to the locker rooms and be doing the things they're preaching about not doing, Fox said. Quote, you kind of get broken. Just accept that it is what it is. That's okay for a little bit. Years down the road, this doesn't go away. Your true outcries were ignored. Fox spoke to 6 different members of the Northwestern staff, including coaches and an on-staff therapist. According to the complaint, the therapist told Fox that his hazing and abuse accusations were not real and diagnosed him with depressive bipolar disorder. Quote, you do get brainwashed that maybe I am seeing things wrong, Fox said. This is not harmful, even though you're experiencing it. Check out the entire article from Jake Hamilton over at Fox 32 Chicago. Ex-Northwestern linebacker lifts lid on alleged locker room abuse in explosive lawsuit. It's a lot to digest, Paul, and there's a lot in this article. I know there was a lot that caught your attention, but I wanted to put an exclamation point at that moment of they brainwash you. And we've heard this on so many different cases, from domestic abuse, child abuse, and then things that happen on a sporting field. And it's very scary to see how this can happen to individuals, many individuals, in plain sight, and still so many defendants, so many people that go to bat for the administration because they believe that that's the way coaching should be or the way administration should be. So I don't know, when you've heard this story, when you saw this pop up and these details come out, what were your thoughts?
Well, first of all, the therapist, I know like heads have rolled, we know about Fitzgerald, some of the coaches, they're trying to change the culture completely. I'm not sure if the therapist is still, with the school, and that screams to me. I know so many people are responsible, right? Ultimately whoever's in charge of the program, and especially like the athletic director, kind of indirectly is involved as well, should be, making sure that there's a complete culture underneath them that's safe and protective and correct, the right way that they do this. But then when you have people that are kind of put in place that you can go to and talk to and is completely dismissive, not even like a red flag, and it makes me wonder, there's got to be other cases of other players going to this particular therapist and saying, hey, something's not right here, or I'm being physically abused by people in our locker room, people that I thought were my teammates, and then it's just be like, no, it's bipolar disorder. That's what you're, and it feels like, even though this isn't a minor, like you're taking advantage of a young mind, a young person, like he's saying, like, well, you do feel kind of brainwashed, and it's like, that's gaslighting. That's exactly what's going on right there. So I think it's good that these lawsuits are coming out now, because it might compile a little bit more evidence leading up to other trials. And I don't know how this is going to affect Pat Fitzgerald trial, which starts in 2025. But I mean, it doesn't look good in his case that it's, he could say, oh, I didn't know about any of this because the players were trying to hide it from them. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was a hazing incident at my high school when I was there, and it was like, the sophomores were paddling freshmen. Coaches didn't know about it because the sophomores went out of their way to not tell the coaches. So I think there's an element of that, which doesn't mean that the coaches are exempt from any sort of, punishment from that, but it just means that, okay, they went out of their way to not tell these guys. But here we have someone that was told about it directly, and they didn't do what they needed to do and inform other people.
And Paulie, I think the one thing that I take from stories like this, that I hope for in stories like this, is people see that this type of thing happens in all different shapes, different forms, different outlets, and that you have to listen to these stories. You have to listen to when things like this happen, and I think that's what's really important. So we've seen a lot recently with like Scotty Scheffler and people reacting to seeing the video compared to the police report, how sometimes you just have to have some critical thinking. You have to sometimes take your biases out of it and listen. A case like this and some of these cases we've seen recently, I hope it educates and it smartens the modern sports fan. But let us know what you think about this story. And this story is not going away. Northwestern stuff is not going away as much as they maybe want to. So we'll be here covering it on the Sports Cubicle. Speaking of the Sports Cubicle, we're all over the universe. Follow us on Twitter at Sports Cubicle TV. Like us, subscribe to us on YouTube at the Sports Cubicle. We're all over the universe, wherever you get your favorite podcasts, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts at the Sports Cubicle. Heartland Signal, guys. Check it out. They're doing some great stuff. And they are our proud parents over at the Sports Cubicle. So make sure you guys are keeping tabs on us right there. He's Paul Chivari. I'm Mike Mercado. We got more here on the Sports Cubicle.